Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Please say hi. Don't become a shy. Okay,
so
so
you say hello, everyone. What are you thinking? You're talking to the. You're talking to the audience.
So you know, we calm you down. All right, okay.
Who is he talking to?
Okay, all right. So that hi was for everyone there. So once again, hi everyone. We're going to be shooting our edition of Stretched and Marked as promised. So today we're doing the father's take. So you know, normally you get to hear the woman's side of the story, how it was like in the labor ward. They get to talk amongst each other, but rarely do you get to hear the father side. So today I'm joined with two brothers of mine who I've known for a very long time. And on my left we've got Mr. Piri, who is the father to an amazing young man called Naonga. And on my right we've got Mr. Maronga, who is father to three bouncing children, Juanita, Renee, and the last born being TJ. So we've got a very well balanced, and of course myself, who is the father to Shalom, Ruarashe, Naledi, Paswani. Three names, yes. Okay, so a lot of names. Yeah, we needed to get all the mix, you know, the Shona side. Okay, cool. So today we're going to be hearing the father's take, and it'll be more like a conversation where we just get to interact. And the first question that I would want to know, for starters, I can start with Mr. Maronga. What can you say has been the difference between your expectation of being a father and what it is actually like to be a father? Did you have any prior expectations before you actually went into being a father?
That's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, I kind of just landed into fatherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Being a father when I was a teenager, so I didn't really have time to, list my expectations per se.
Yes.
But yeah, it's been a fascinating journey. New every time. I've got three children, so you think you are an expert at every level, but with every child, there's always a different experience. So my expectations, I would say, being a father is a very amazing experience.
Yes.
On a daily basis, sometimes I wonder, I get shocked. This is my child. I'm the father to that.
Indeed, yeah.
And it's exciting, when you get to share into their experiences as well, their accomplishments.
Yes.
You get to share into sometimes their disappointment. And it's good when you always seem to be their preferred choice.
Yes.
So yeah, in terms of expectations, I think if I had any, they've been surpassed.
Okay, so for you never really had prior expectations. You sort of like went right into it, and everything you had to then learn as you go. And okay, we'll come back to that, but I can imagine, because you did not really have any expectations, there were a lot of things like it's on the job training.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, okay, we'll get into some of those lessons as you share with us. 3 kids. I've got 1 kid. And, I've got days where I wonder, like, how in the world does my brother manage? But that's why we're here, to be able to also learn from your experiences. So, sir, Mr. Piri, on your end, what's the difference between your expectations of fatherhood and the reality of it?
Well, so for me, obviously I was looking forward to being a father.
Yeah.
Expectations being my son. Well, then I didn't know that it's going to be my son or daughter, but then my child is going to be very quiet.
Yeah.
They'll smile when they see me, crying.
Yeah.
I didn't think of things like waking up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Where one day your life just sort of changes.
Yes.
The sleeping pattern is messed up.
Oh yes.
It's not as it used to be. Okay. I mainly just look at the, I'd say, I don't use positive then, because then it will mean there's this negative side. But
Yeah.
I mainly just focused on this good side of fatherhood,
The joys
the
of
joys of
fatherhood,
fatherhood. I didn't think there would be days where you're thinking to yourself, man, I'm tired.
Oh yes.
And
Oh,
the little
yes.
man still wants
wants
to
to
play.
play.
So I think like Mr. Maranga, there's certain things I then just had to start learning. I'm like, you know what, life is not the same anymore.
Yes.
Yes.
Being a father then means I need to be ready for this side of things.
Yes.
Even just in terms of, let's say, responsibility.
Yes.
Fatherhood for me, I thought I'll be in and out.
Yes.
Hold the baby when I want to, when I don't need to, I'm like, he is the baby.
Yeah, yeah.
But then I had to come to learn that, you know what, things have changed now. Okay, and then I would need to adjust. And to be honest with you, I'm still adjusting.
Yes.
Because every day there's something new.
Yeah.
My son is now at a place where we play a ball in the house for 2 hours straight.
Wow.
He has some extra energy.
I have a girl. She's less playful.
So imagine after a long day
Yeah.
out there, you get home and it's probably 19, and then he sees you, he's like, ball.
Yes, exactly.
For the next 2 hours, you need to play ball. You can't sit down.
Wow.
You need to be up and about.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, you wake up, you call your name, you literally say daddy, or there are times he just kicks me to wake me up.
Okay.
And you need to be up at 3.
Okay.
Okay, and then 5 you're supposed to get up and start your day. But in all that, I would say it's an interesting and amazing experience.
Okay, so I think since you touched on it a bit, I would want to find out what would you say has been your greatest adjustment? You get married, it's just the two of you with your wife, you can basically run around in the house,
Yeah.
just the two of you, whichever way
Yes.
you want to run around. But all
I
of
hear
a
you.
sudden-
Yeah, I hear you.
all of a sudden,
Yeah.
there's another person in the mix. And usually, that one person, like how they say that it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
And I think it's very true. So, of course, when you have a child, you may actually also need to have some other relatives, some helpers to come in. But on your end, what would you say has been the greatest adjustment?
Accommodating him,
Yeah?
in the sense that, like you mentioned, first I was alone, then the wife came through.
Yes.
You learn to share space with the
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah.
Before you realize it, your child comes in, so now you need to share the space you're sharing with your wife
Yes.
with your child.
Yes.
There've been times and days when I've just wanted to be with my wife,
Yes.
but there's
The guys.
there's a little man
Like,
there.
me too,
Yeah,
I need
I'm here,
attention.
man. Yeah, I'm here. I'm not going to the other room. I'm here with you guys. So just learning to adjust
Yeah.
and realize that, you know what? Now it's no longer about the two of us. There's my son here.
Yeah.
I've really had to adjust there. Another thing is where I used to do a lot of work
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
Like even when you go out to your work, but then come back home, you need to do your work. There are days where you can't because you want to do what you want to do. He wants to play with you. So
Yeah.
just sharing that time with him
Yes.
has been one of something
great
that
adjustment.
great adjustment for me.
Okay, so Mr. Moronga, we are talking of adjustments, and these are adjustments that a man with one kid is making. I would want to find out from you, what's it been like having to share yourself? Because there's only one dad, and you are not only a husband now, but you're also a father to 3 amazing kids. But what's it been like sharing yourself with your kids and your family and your wife at the same time?
It's a new experience every day.
Yeah.
Because having been with Juanita because she's 7 years apart
Yeah.
from her siblings.
Yeah, she's
And then Renee, the middle one, is
Yes.
only 2 years apart from
Yes,
James.
yes.
So they are sort of like
You're very
twins.
close. Yeah, very twins.
And then this one had all our attention for the greater part of close to a decade.
Yeah.
First of all, just me and my wife adjusting to an environment where we now have a baby, we are young,
Yeah.
we don't even really know if we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And after we get those years of experience,
Yeah.
we then bring in another human being, and now there's also Juanita to manage
Yes.
because it's no longer just me and me and my wife.
Yes.
So me, my wife, and the older sister.
Yes,
We need to also be mindful. Needs our time because a baby can be demanding. We were blessed that I think of all our children, Rene was maybe the least traumatic.
Okay.
In terms of excessive late nights and all that stuff. But it's a new experience every day. Even now, then I used to run my own business on a farm, so I had a lot of time to be with the kids. And now I work a shift job, not even a regular 9 to 5, where like Mr. P at 19 you come back home. For me, it's you are going home at 7 o'clock, and you are tired from a night shift, and this is when these guys are working. There's reports from yesterday that you have not yet, that they need you to give a decision on, Wow. This one did this to me, this one this, and wow. So it's a new experience. Almost on a daily basis. I get surprised. I ask me and my wife sometimes sit and look at TJ and wonder, when did you start talking?
And TJ
we've been there the whole time. When there must be something with this. Because I guess because he had someone close to him who had grown up already, he was able to.
It's okay.
So he was able to quickly, grow up out of being a baby. So that experience has keeps shocking us even up to date. He's always got something witty to say. He's his own man. He can leave his sisters and play alone. And then that's the other thing. He's a boy. They are girls. So we already had the experience of 2 girls.
Then all of a sudden a new dynamic.
Now there's a boy. So now how do we, adjust to that? So generally, I think fatherhood, you just have to be quick on your feet.
Yes.
You're adjusting everything. The other day, Rene was having a meltdown and going to school. The first day at school and saying, what if they don't like me? What if, she's 6. At first, we thought, okay. But she was, for her, this seemed to be a really serious
she's
problem.
a bubbly
personality. So, also now trying to manage that dynamic, that's an experience. Nobody told me how to mentor a 6-year-old on how first day of school is going to be like, especially one with such a bubbly, exciting personality. So it is, and the brother, the opposite, he can't wait to go to school, probably for that day. And the next day, he doesn't want to go.
It's amazing. And from both sides, I'm learning the fact that there are many adjustments to be made, which I can attest to myself. And I think so it requires an intentionality about it. It's such that it won't just happen. You are the one who has to be deliberate about the adjustments that you have to make in order to accommodate them. And as you are saying, you are having to be intentional about how do I deal with Juanita? How do I deal with Renee? How do I deal with TJ at their level? Because the dynamics are different. But I'm also learning the fact that, God supplies us with so much grace. Because even as you both are talking about the dynamics, there's never really a day that I've looked at you and said, it looks like Mr. P has had it with his kid. Or, Mr. Maronga has had it with TJ. He's about to give up. You always seem as if you have everything under control. But I think it attests to the amount of grace that God supplies, not only to fathers, but to parents in general. So that with all that goes on, the journey is still amazing because of how much strength He gives us. There's one thing that I wanted to find out, which I know most people don't talk about, but what was pregnancy like for you guys? Because, mostly we get to hear about the ladies' version of
you get me in trouble.
No, but I know a lot of men would, potential fathers, newlyweds, and even the young men like the one behind the camera over there, Mr. Shalom. I know they would want to begin learning about these things. So what was pregnancy like? Maybe we'll start with Mr. Piri.
Yeah,
Because
I'm just trying to choose my words. Like before I get home,
I plead
let
the
me-
fifth.
let me-
you plead the fifth.
Yeah. But it was, my wife being pregnant was an interesting journey.
Yeah.
altogether. I think each trimester came with its own things.
Yeah.
I remember there was a day we drove around, should have been a holiday, we drove around in Saka looking for fresh bread
Fresh bread.
in a bakery. Like she wanted bread from the oven.
Wow.
Yeah, like when we get there, they should be removing it from the oven. And I remember we drove all the way from Woodlands,
Yeah.
then to Charleston. We only found it in Kabata. So there were days like that. Like says, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And then the minute you bite, she's over it. You just get a bit of it, like, you know what?
She's like,
We're done. I need something else.
Okay.
So there were, it came with, I think its own, I'd say, interesting days, where there were days you'd be quiet and you think there's something wrong. There were days you'd be extremely excited.
Yeah.
There were days you'd want something, when you bite, she doesn't want it anymore. There were days she'd want you nearby. Next minute she doesn't want you around.
Yeah.
So you
She
really
needs
had
her
to.
own space.
Yeah. For me, I had to learn to be sort of like patient.
Yes.
Because then, I think as a man, you wouldn't really understand what goes on with a woman. The best you can do is give them the support they need at that particular time. And sometimes it doesn't even make sense.
Yes.
So what I expected and what I got,
Yeah.
two
Were
totally
different.
different
What
things.
would you say was the scariest thing for you about the pregnancy journey?
That was,
I'll tell you the truth. For my end, it was the time when I heard that she went into labor. I was scared. I was scared out of my mind because I was actually at work. So many things are going through your mind. Is she going to be okay? Is the baby going to be okay? And that's when it actually hits you like, are we even ready for this child? Yes, the things are there, but yeah. So what would you
for
say?
me was looking at my wife and the fact that the child was coming and thinking, am I ready for this? There are days where you just wake up in the middle of the night and she's sleeping and you're thinking,
Just like, I'm about
wow,
to be a dad.
I'm about
Am I
to be
ready?
that. Am I ready? Am I ready for this? Even the day when she went to labor and then we were expecting the baby, where you're thinking to yourself, 1 minute I was excited about being a father. Am I ready for this? Just that question of thinking, am I ready to take care of not only my wife but also my son? Really got into my head. But then, like you're mentioning, the grace is always sufficient. That even when the baby comes through that phase, you get to learn to adjust. I think for fathers who obviously, or for men who are about to have a pregnant wife, or for young men, like the one in front of the camera, I think what's really key is to be flexible enough and not to stick to what you've heard. Because I really think different women will respond differently in terms of their pregnancy.
Yes.
I actually think my brother, Mr. Maranga, would say that the first pregnancy might have been different from the second one. Yes. So it's important to then have an open mind.
Oh yes.
Because what someone tells you may not really be what it is for a while.
I think that's really valuable.
Yeah, she might mean it might mean something else for her. Yeah, but for me it was interesting. We saw different things altogether. The things my wife liked then, like Angela, I mean, she can stand. Yeah, so it was interesting. You have to be up and on your feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for you, sir, what would you say has been the most, or maybe even the most challenging thing about that pregnancy period? Yeah.
Yes, I think just generally you're never prepared. And that's what you should work on first.
Okay.
Be prepared for it.
it.
And I think for me, I was never prepared for all of them. So I could be present and absent within that pregnancy. I mean, there's a lot of things. If I could do it again now after all my corrections.
So in terms of preparedness, do you mean emotionally?
Yeah, I think emotionally and even mentally.
Yes.
There's a lot of. There are days where I'm also, as she's pregnant, whatever her emotions and hormones are
Yeah.
at the highest. I think equally as men, there's a lot going on.
Yes.
I don't know what we characterize that
Yeah.
as, but there's definitely a lot of things going on, a lot of concerns.
Yes.
And there are days where you might not handle her well because you are in your own
Going through your own
world,
emotions,
and then that can just lead to a whole lot of problems even during the pregnancy. So there are a lot of parts throughout the 3 pregnancies where I wish I could turn back the hand of time and do things differently. But I think after sitting down to try and just reflect on that, I think generally, even us as men, preparedness. Something that, and like Mr. P said, don't take what he has said for fact to work on your pregnant wife.
Just add something on preparedness, financially as well.
Financial
I
preparedness.
was going to get to that.
Financial
Yes.
preparedness is something which is very key. Having a baby is not cheap.
Yes. It's
Taking
not.
care-
It's not.
taking care of the child
It's
is
not
It's
cheap.
not cheap at all. And you might get the preparations before the baby, right?
But
there's
you need
life
to also
after.
consider
Yes,
after.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And there's also that whole managing your space and time and still being able to be there for her and the baby and still go out and grind.
Okay.
So I think for men, because our minds are always operating in that space.
Yes.
You are in the future, you are in the present,
Yeah.
and you are trying to leave the past.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
you
I
know,
like that.
because we don't remember as well as our counterparts.
Yes. You're
But
trying to leave the things
yes,
that
we're trying to focus on where we are going as of where we've come from.
Yeah.
And sometimes because you're in that space, you don't realize that you are becoming absent in that present space for your family.
Wow.
Whether it's your child, and it's a journey, it's an adjustment that is going to likely keep being the challenge.
That's profound. So, and having the ability to still focus on the future, because as a man, as a provider, as the vision carrier, it's important for you to be able to steer your family and navigate them through the different seasons of life, but still being present with what exactly is going on. I think that's really powerful. So, sir, you wanted to add as well. Is there anything you still wanted to add on the financial preparedness part?
Well, I think it's just key. Before I just pass to NSQ and look at the type that have nothing to do with that. Then you have a baby, and you want to provide. I think every parent wants to provide the best for their child, but it comes at a cost.
Yeah.
And I think if you're not prepared for that cost, it can actually be stressful on the man, which can then affect your relationship with both the mother and the child.
Wow.
Because then you're so stressed about how do I provide this and how do I get this together, how do I get that. And the mother is in a space where she's saying, listen, you need to spend time with the child and you need to spend time with me as well. So to prevent all that stress, it's important for every man who will then wants to be a father, looking forward to father, would then start looking at finances and saying, okay, am I able to put something aside, maybe on a monthly basis?
Yes. So monthly planning, that's even before you.
Even
I
before.
mean,
If you're able,
ultimately, you know that if you're gonna get married,
the
you
baby is
tend
coming.
to have
The baby is
a
coming.
child. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I think that's where. I mean, I can't speak for other cultures, but I'll speak for Africans. Maybe a lot of us Africans, that's where it's not really something we've been engineered into.
Okay.
So that's why we can have 10 kids.
Okay.
And not really think
How
are
they
they going
financially
to,
provide?
is it, as opposed to some of our counterparts who would rather just plan for one and make sure the one gets best
All
of
the
life
way
right
through.
up to university.
Okay.
So yeah, like preparedness, like you said, the elements of the lack of preparedness affect your leadership.
Yes.
And when your leadership is compromised, then all chaos does happen.
Because as a man, obviously, you're thinking, why should I stay here and spend time with the baby and you when I can be out there
Making money.
some
After
money,
all.
which we need?
Yes.
And then we'll justify it by saying, when I make the money, I bring it to you guys. Why do you even need me here?
Yes.
Not really understanding that listen, we're just making the money.
Yeah.
You need to handle the emotional side.
your
Should be present. Because then, as a generation, if we're going to complain about absentee fathers, like, no, my father wasn't around.
Yeah.
What then are you doing about it to ensure that you're around? And now we're beginning to realize some of the things which caused that might have been lack of preparedness in terms of finances.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense.
So I'm trying to make up. I won't be home because I'm trying to look for the money to ensure that I bring that money to you. But the bringing of the money doesn't substitute the fact that I'm not present in my son's life.
Wow, that's such a powerful dynamic. And I hope that even as the people who are listening, those who are potential fathers are also walking away with these very valuable lessons. Okay, so now at this point, what I would want to find out, maybe as we are concluding or winding down, is that if you were to talk to the younger you, maybe before you actually had your first kid, what would you tell him?
I'll tell the younger me to prepare himself as we go back to talk about finances.
Okay.
Because personally, they've been a big deal.
Okay.
And I know they matter in the life of every father who wants to give the child the best. So I tell myself, ensure that every month you put a certain amount aside for the child.
All right.
Because then that gives you a peace of mind when this baby comes. There are certain things you can then take care of, which is important.
And there are schemes nowadays where you can actually do that.
The schemes nowadays where you can take the 300 kwacha every month.
Okay.
To literally save up for a certain period of time.
Just for the child.
Just for the child. And then after that period of time, the money matures at a certain percentage. So I would have told the younger me to say, you know what, every month, set something aside for the child. There are certain things you can give up on now to ensure that you may not have save up all the money in the world, but it will give you a certain peace of mind.
Great. And so what would you tell the younger you?
Definitely, like we mentioned, preparedness. Starting from, ultimately I know I'm going to be a father, I'm going to get married. So yeah, I'd start getting into things that would prepare me for that space. Putting aside some money, trust funds, be polished. Know what is happening around you.
Okay.
Investments. There are sometimes we're just scared to walk into this place and ask.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Very
We just think, you'd be surprised that they can cater for you, and 5 years later you would be happy you made that decision. So being polished will help you in your preparedness. And when you are prepared, you become the preferred. And ultimately, that's really what being a father would be about. I want to be the person my wife comes to when there's a problem. I want to be the person my child thinks of dialing whenever they've got an issue. And even just stretching on the preparedness part is going as far as even when you leave this earth, which is an uncomfortable conversation, especially for us Africans, but it's a reality. You don't want to leave your children exposed at any stage, whether alive or dead. So ultimately, it's important to try and get all those. I think for me, those are some of the key steps really that will help, and you definitely have peace of mind.
Just talking about even when you do this, just to mention the fact that 5 years ago I walked into a place where they were offering clothes at 300 kwacha a month.
Okay.
For the next 5 years. 5 years later, I worked in the same place and we're having a different conversation.
Wow.
And then it hit me to say, you know what, had I started this 5 years ago, I was going to own a piece of land in this area.
Wow.
But because then you're young, it doesn't seem important, we are trying to invest in things which don't matter. They seem like they matter, but they actually don't really matter. I like what you said, it's very important for a man to be level-headed enough to say what matters. The journey ahead of me, what really matters? What am I supposed to focus on? Where should my energy go? Because this is no longer about me. There's now my wife, and then there's now the child or the children who are coming, who depend on me.
Yes.
So for me to ensure that I create a space for them, which maybe a person I didn't even have.
So,
There are certain things I'll do to ensure that.
Yeah. And even just on just from what you mentioned,
yeah.
that I've been polished enough 5 years ago, I would have known about that.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So it's important to keep researching, find out what's happening in
What
that space.
options
Yeah.
are available?
Like
for you?
land, what's your land options?
Yeah.
What's your trust fund options? What's your
Yes.
options for your child's education?
Yes.
You sometimes think, oh no, it's because they're still a baby.
Mhm.
It's okay, let me deal with diapers.
Yeah.
We'll deal with school when school gets
Schools
closer.
are not cheap.
Then when school comes, you're not happy with the school your child goes to. Because, you know, ultimately children, them going to a bunch of kids in a classroom, they're okay with that. But as a parent, you are there saying, that's not the standard I want for my child. And
Yeah.
of course, eventually they'll grow and also know that I'm being shortchanged here.
Yeah.
How come Pastor Rudolph, them Ruva goes to
Yeah, that's
Rudolph
good.
and
Yes,
here I go
yes.
this side.
Wow.
This is something my father is not doing right,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And so you don't want to be at a place, because that place is a place where you become ineffective even as a father. It will affect
As
you.
a husband.
It definitely affect you, and even
Yeah.
as a husband.
Yeah.
Your wife might stand there and, okay, you know, let me just be with this brother, but
Yeah.
ultimately when you come back and look at yourself in the mirror, you always feel, I should be doing better. I should have, and I
So-
should be doing better.
Yeah.
you
So
know.
I think one of the things that has really come out is preparedness. So for those who may be watching and you want a lesson that comes from fathers who are already fathers giving advice to those who would be fathers, is preparedness. Make sure that you are prepared. And I think one of the things that has also come about is the practicality. You need to be practical about how prepared you are. So it's not just about reading books, it's not just about imagining, it's not only emotional preparedness or mental preparedness, but financial preparedness especially. The financial preparedness, how prepared you will be, needs you to be very practical. As Mr. Maronga was saying, find out what options are available for you. Are you able to open up a trust fund even before you even have the kids? Are you able to open up some sort of scheme or some sort of trust fund? How are you going to invest to make sure that your children are well taken care of? And I think the other thing that Mr. Maronga mentioned earlier on is the fact that even as you are thinking about your preparedness, don't just think about from the time your wife is pregnant or by the time you are pregnant up to the time your child is born. But think about the future as well, all the way to primary school, high school. How prepared are you? What are the steps that you're going to take to make sure that you actually prepare for your child? Because how prepared your child will be will greatly affect your well-being as a dad. Because as he said, you want to actually be the best and do the best and offer the best to your child. And when you fail to do that in one way or the other, I think Mr. Piri also mentioned that, in one way or the other, you will feel as if you are home. You will actually be home, but you won't be present because your mind is going through all these things. So preparedness has really been talked about. And the other thing that was mentioned by Mr. Piri is flexibility. Make sure that you remain flexible. And the other thing that we also mentioned is the fact that you also then need to make sure that you are present. And as Mr. Moronga was saying, make sure that as you're thinking about the future, but don't forget to also focus on the now. So I think for today, this is where we will end. We'll see what else, maybe judging from your feedback. If you have any questions, if you would want us to talk about any other area, please make sure that you hit us up, and so that we may be able to tailor make the future episodes to what you will actually want us to talk about. So Mr. Piri, Mr. Maronga, thank you so much for joining us here on Stretched and Marked, the Father's Edition. Until we meet again, remember to like, remember to subscribe, remember to share. We love you so much.